So the other thing I want to talk about was something economically. So the second stimulus checks have not been passed out because the Democrats and Republicans have not been able to come to a decision pretty much. So the Democrats and Republicans, they knew that there was going to be the unemployment benefits that were going to end in what was it, July 31st, and they ended, and nothing got passed. So that left a lot of people. There's a lot of people in situations where they can't pay rent, they can't pay their insurance, they can't pay car notes, they can't pay their mortgages. They're struggling to get food on the table. Jobs are obviously not aplenty right now, especially jobs in people's fields that they've studied for to go into. It's a tough economic situation right now for a lot of people in the United States of America. So the Democrats and Republicans just sitting there and not doing much for everyone is not a great case for people who obviously are feeling the ramifications of their inaction, you know? So like from what I was able to gather, it seemed like the Democrats passed a what was called a Heroes Act, which was pretty similar to the CARES Act that passed in March, where everyone got the $1,200 for a single, $2,400 if you're married and filed jointly for your 2018-2019 IRS tax form, and if you're a dependent under the age of 17, you would get 500 additional for each independent. I don't think there was a cap on that. So what the Democrats saw was a $3.4 trillion package that was passed by um, the House in May, but the Republicans sat on it, and Democrats were eventually like, all right, we'll cut it 2 trillion, but the Republicans are like, nah, we only want 1 trillion for the people in this bill. So obviously it hasn't been passed. August 7th was like the deadline, and it wasn't passed then. I know Trump put in about 4 executive orders. None of them really did anything to address the situation of the plight that a lot of families and individuals are going through. Um, so yeah, the Democrats and Republicans have just not had a lot of action on the front of this economic stimulus bill that will help people and alleviate the pains of the coronavirus pandemic and how it causes economic crash. So some of the things they're disagreeing on was, I know the Democrats, they wanted a new allowance for dependents, something to the effect of like allowing like kids like me myself. Like I know when my parents got the $500, it was only for my two little sisters, and I wasn't included because I was over the age of 17. I think the Democrats wanted to remove that and be like, if you have a kid you claim as dependent, whether they're elderly or a kid who's over 17, college age years, you should be able to claim them and get the 500 as well. I don't think the Republicans were in for that. The Democrats were also wanted some unauthorized immigrants to get some of these to be part of the package. The Republicans were not for that for obvious reasons. They're not very pro immigrants, if you've noticed, with the Republicans. So, and another thing is Trump. He spews a lot of like, oh, like we want to help, we want to get money out. But one thing he did was he tried to cut the $600 a month, a week from the unemployment to 400, and wanted to push a lot of the burden onto the states who are already feeling the plight of the coronavirus pandemic economically, and just don't have the funds to really like pay that for a lot of people on unemployment. Last time I checked, was around between 40 to 50 million people on unemployment. I know some of those people are getting back employed, especially with the unemployment benefits running out, but there's still going to be a lot of million people who are unemployed, and it's going to be tough for the states to try and make up that difference. The federal government really should be able to cover at this point in time. So there's really no second stimulus bill on the horizon that's going to be passed, unfortunately for people. So the only thing I could say is like call your representatives, get them on the phone, see what's going on, really push to get this because there's people who are struggling, man, and there's people who really need this money to just pay some basic bills and get some food on the table for their kids, you know. Um, so last thing here is outside of the so like the cap on like the $1,200 payment is broken down by CNBC. So they said individuals earning a gross AGI, gross adjusted income of up to $70,000 per year in 2019 will receive a $1,200 payment. Couples, 150,000 per year in 2019 receive a 2,400,000 payment, which is like the CARES Act in March. The checks will be reduced by $5 for every $100 in income, phasing out completely at 99K for individuals, and 198,000 for couples. Individuals with no income and individuals who rely on benefits such as Social Security are eligible for the full $1,200 payment. So those are some facts CNBC provided as to what um, is in the bill, really, in the proposed payment bill. One other note that I'll leave you guys with is top economic top. How do you say that word? Top economist. Eco- top economists have called for recurring stimulus checks. So pretty much a UBI. The reasoning is pretty like, if you look at it, if you hear what they say, it's pretty much like give people money to spend and pay their bills, and they will also use some of the reserves that they may have, depending on their situation, to go into the parts of the economy that are opened up and spend it, stimulating the economy, getting us back to a period of growth. Um, so, Business Insider says that open letter published by Economic Security Project and the Justice Collaborative earlier this month, 156 top economists urged lawmakers to approve ongoing stimulus payments. More direct cash payments would be a win-win for households and the government, supplying people with enough cash to buy groceries, bills, and in turn buttress businesses and economy at large. Even after the reopening and jobs begin to come back, there will be significant economic fallout and demand will continue to lag if people don't have money to spend. Regular direct stimulus payments tied to economic indicators will help families stay afloat and drive economic activity. It's pretty simple. Give people money to spend. They'll spend it on the businesses. Businesses will get back to the ways that they were before after some time. If people don't have money to spend, they're not going to spend the economy, and our economy is going to be stagnant for the foreseeable future. So that's pretty much the gist of it. So it doesn't look like we're getting any second stimulus checks in the near future. We got to put more pressure on our legislators to do things and not be so inactive, especially in times of crises like this. This is a crisis right now. One of the worst crises we've seen in our modern history, maybe even the entire history of the United States. So we really need to get them. We really need to be electing people who will fight for us when we need them the most. And right now, a lot of our representatives and senators are not doing enough to make sure that we're comfortable in situations like this. Country like the United States of America shouldn't have people not being able to pay their rent. What is it? 30+ % of people are going to be able to pay their rent in August. That's just unacceptable for a country that has the funds that we do. So we got to start looking, voting smart, and seeing what we can do so that when situations like this occur and we go into recessions, this is really depression now. When we go into times of economic downturn, that we're all taken care of because we elect people who do the things for us that we need. So thanks for watching. I'll link the some of the links from what I used to get the information below. I'll see you guys next time.